remember I said my prospect, I had left him my constitution and stuff. He decided he needed to mail it back to me. And so I was under the radar mostly, and he mailed it and they intercepted it. And so the gang intelligence officer came and got me, and he's like, "You're a gang member? Are you really?" Like he was trying to play like, I don't believe it. Trying to see if I would explain. And I'm going, I don't know what that is. I don't know anything. I'm like, God dang it, they already got me. He's like, okay, well, he did some more research, and he would contact me and be like, all right, I realize now who you are. And the captain, his name was Junkyard, he left. So now you're in charge. And as long as you're cool, I'm cool. Just keep things under control.
Interesting.
And it was a lie. He was just waiting to get me. So never admitted to anything, went back to my cell. And there's tons of stuff happened on Torres, but just keep it pushing. They did their investigation. They had a hearing in Huntsville, the Security Threat Group Management Office, went through their process to confirm me as a gang member. And when he investigated me the first time and told me, like, I know who you are, but I'm going to let you stay in population, I knew that was a lie. So then I started getting blasted. I had a big shield put on my chest. I had some big lightning bolts on my neck.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
You got them. You don't have them now. You got them lasered off. Wow.
My hands used to be covered. I got all that stuff.
So what made you start getting tatted?
I knew I was going to get confirmed. And I was like, I don't want to be like the only guy in SEG without my patch. You know, this is where all the patched up real, guys are. So I want my stuff.
Yeah.
And I hadn't even done anything. Like, I hadn't stabbed anybody. I hadn't done anything like that. Yeah. I'm just fist fighting and checking people and stuff like that. So they came and got me and were like, it's your turn. Now's your time. And they just packed up my stuff and they took some pictures of me and stuck me in isolation. And I had been locked up for about 4 years, a little over, closer to 5 maybe.
Right.
And they're like, you're not going to be in general population. You are unsafe. Like the papers I showed you, it's like unsafe to be around other inmates.
So now you're validated.
Yeah. And now I'm never going to be able, I'm going to they call it the promised land, but it was honestly like my biggest nightmare.
Okay.
Like, I was terrified of going to AdSeg.
Right.
Because it's isolation.
Right.
Man, I just like, I'm only a kid, I'm in my early 20s.
Yeah.
And this just happened I thought it could happen someday, but I didn't think it would happen that soon.
Right.
And so
is the AdSeg unit in Torres, or is it a different prison?
They don't have them there.
Okay.
So it's only going to be on a maximum security unit.
Right.
And there's only certain ones I think that have it.
Right.
This was before they built dedicated high security units that are nothing but AdSeg.
Right.
They built like 5 or so of those later. But at that time, they would just send you to whatever maximum security unit had certain blocks dedicated to AdSeg where you're just locked down.
Right.
And so
but you're in a pod with other people, right? Yeah. You can go fishing and you can talk to people through the vents, but you don't get out of your cell hardly.
Right. So they sent me to East Ham unit first. East Ham's famous because Clyde Barrow escaped there, Bonnie and Clyde.
Oh,
so that shows you how old it is.
It's an old prison.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And so it's ironic, really. But I ended up there. And the interesting thing is they put you on a block with all your bros.
Yeah.
And we didn't have enough. So we were split. This is an old prison with the bars and the 3 tiers.
Yeah.
And they put you in a cell, and they have in SEG, they have this diamond mesh welded on the front of the bars. Mm-hmm. You're more isolated. You can't just reach through the bars.
Yeah.
And they use shields and stuff. Yeah. You come out with your hands cuffed behind your back with 2 guards on you. But my row, we were on 3 row, was all my bros.
Wow.
And I was like, cool. And the guards were cool because it's considered a convict farm. A convict farm in Texas is like older inmates.
Yeah.
Who are not really all about fighting and rock and rolling. Mm. They're just old now.
Yeah.
And while I was there, our highest ranking member, who was one of the generals, he was the commissioner of the wheel committee, which is the highest one. He showed up from another unit. He'd been in SEG forever. He'd been in prison like 25, 30 years.
Wow.
Dirty Joe. Dirty Joe showed up, and it was like, wow, he's like a celebrity, you know what I mean? So I'm getting to go out to the yard. We're not together. We're in separate cages, you know, but I'm able to talk to our leader.
Wow.
And I didn't want to get the official patch because it has a swastika on it. And like, I'm not racist. My grandfathers fought in World War II. I'm not putting a swastika on it. And so I had a patch that I had designed that had Roman numerals 1 to 20. And he didn't like that. He did not like that because it wasn't official.
Right.
You know, he was mad about that.
He wanted you to get a swastika?
Yeah, you weren't supposed to get a non-approved patch, you know.
Now, what is your function supposed to be like now that you're a ranking member?
In SEG.
But you're in SEG, so what good are you?
Mail. Writing orders through the mail.
And had you met enough people to where you had those connections?
Yes.
And are you mostly sending that mail to Torres, I assume, because that's where you bidded first and have all the lower ranking members? I was
still in charge of Hodge unit, which was laughable because there was nobody really there.
Right.
And then Torres unit.
Okay.
And then on East Ham, everything was cool. But then there was a guard there that I had actually gone to high school with. And we'd had minor childish beef.
Right.
And he told the administration that he knew me. I'm sure that's required.
Yeah.
And so they're like, you got to go.
Oh.
So they sent me what we call across the river because East Ham is on one side of the Trinity River and on the other side is Ferguson unit. Okay. Ferguson unit is infamous. It's they call it the Gladiator Farm. It used to be, it's old. It was built in the 1950s. And it used to be where they sent all the underage inmates. Like if you were convicted as an adult, they would send you there, the youthful offender program. And so it was just known for rocking and rolling.
Yeah.
But I'm in SEG. So they send me over there. And again, I'm on a block with all my bros.
Yeah.
And they had about 6 blocks of ad SEG. But it was a whole different world because just because you're in SEG does not mean you're not still active.
Really?
And on East Ham, nobody was really, we were not really at war with anybody. And so I was chilling. We were just eating spreads, you know, running the line, passing magazines. It was cool. I was only there a few months. And then they sent me to Ferguson.
Yeah.
And it was a whole different deal. And I had a lot of bros there and they were very active. And right as I got there, war kicked off with Aryan Circle.
Okay.
And it started on another unit and the orders came through the mail.
Okay. So how did it start?
So I'm a little confused on this because I've read now in the it's funny to read in the news afterwards. All this is documented.
It's made the paper.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's all in indictments and Department of Public Safety memos and stuff. It's all online. They used to call it the Terrell unit, but now they renamed it to Polunsky, and it's where the death row is. But on Terrell unit used to be really bad at that time, and Aryan Circle got into it. I know they killed a white knight over there, and then somehow I think we got into it with them too, unrelated. Aryan Circle was really feeling themselves, and we'd see each other in general population and be like, "What's up?" But it was always kind of like we used to call them circle jerks and stuff. So we didn't have active beef, but biggest kids on the block kind of problems. And it just was inevitable going to come to a head. So whatever started, my understanding is somebody got stabbed. Somebody stabbed somebody on Terrell unit and they ended up gassing a chain bus and there was all this stuff happened. And so the word went out, go hot, it's on.
Right.
And they had some guys in SEG and we did too. And so I was a senior lieutenant, which followed me as I went unit to unit. And I was still a senior lieutenant. At this point, I was over East Ham, Torres, and Bartlett.
Wow.
And I didn't have any active rank on Ferguson. So I was just like remotely managing guys and passing the word like, get it, man, it's on.
Wow.
And there was another
and when you say it's on site, when you send those kites out, that means
try to kill. Yeah.
Try to kill.
Yeah. Yep. Try to kill for sure.
And what do you do? Are you thinking, okay, if somebody does get killed, this letter could link me to a murder conspiracy?
Absolutely it could. Of course it could.
But you didn't try to conceal?
Yeah, you would have
dress it up a little bit.
You know, I hear people talk about codes and stuff, and they did used to try that stuff, but the guards had hacked those codes instantly.
Yeah.
And truthfully, you know, I don't want to give anything up, but you got legal mail and you got lawyers and you got ways of passing stuff. You got
so they use lawyers to pass messages.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the mail volume is so incredible.
Right.
I doubt they just don't have the manpower to search everything. Yeah.
No,
so
they don't.
Some of them get through.
Man, I know gangs that have college professors who are members. I'm serious. Yeah, I'm dead serious.
White gangs?
Yep. That have really important square people that you wouldn't think are involved. They idolize it. They want to be part of something cool too.
That's so weird.
Yeah.
That's so deep. Okay.
They would pass the messages and the orders, the serious orders. We didn't really code them. We just passed them through back channels.
Right.
And it didn't always make it. Right. You know, you could be months and many tries trying to get instructions to people. And when you get to a certain level, you start thinking strategically and you're in jeopardy. So like if you're the head of whatever gang on that unit in general population and a war kicks off with somebody else on another unit, if they get their orders before you get yours, guess whose head's getting cut off when you don't even see it coming?
Right. And you got a knife in you and you're like, what?
And you're like, what happened? I thought we were cool.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Like you don't even know.
Wow.
So
it's that serious.
Yeah. At any moment, you're like, I've got to always be on because they might have gotten orders and I don't know.
Right.
I haven't gotten, maybe they intercepted mine.
Right. Do you know, did anybody at those other prisons, Torres, Hodge unit, the other one, did anybody get killed because of your kites?
Not that I know of.
Did anybody get killed in that war?
Yes.
Where at Ferguson?
I couldn't tell you what units. No. So on Ferguson, my commander, my captain, was ex-Aryan Circle. He had actually cut his own patch off and then shanked their dude when he was in general population. And he was cool with our general. They had been the general that brought me in that I was under all my time. They were personal friends from general population. They had known each other before they got segged. And he had told the captain, if you want to quit them and join us, you got to take your patch off and you got to get one of them. And so he had done it. And he was doing a life sentence already. I'm going to make up a name for him. We'll call him Wizard. Wizard was doing a life sentence. And he had stabbed up one of he had a thirst for blood for those guys, just because he had a thirst for blood for everybody. And so when we went to war, just because you're an ADSEG doesn't mean you're not at war.
Right.
And so we would make spears out of magazine paper with metal tips, rolled up Jack Mac can, dip it in some stick it through the bars, shank somebody at a distance. Dudes would make harpoon guns with magazine, again, twist up the magazine paper into a dense little cone, put a tip on it, make a barrel out of magazine paper again, get the elastic out of your boxers and, you know.
And that could go through you?
It'll stick in you. Absolutely. Yeah. You get enough power behind it and it's close range because they wait till you're coming down the run and you're right in front of their cell and just wow. So I always joke that we had a guy named Youngster and AC had a guy named Youngster and they both ended up spearing each other.
Wow.
And
so that's the way you could touch somebody when you're isolated. There's no physical contact. Yeah. What's another way?
Well, you could cut the fence. It took a lot of time, and the Mexicans were really more about that.
Well, they would
obviously slowly
you see the southern border.
Yeah,
anyways,
they would.
It's a joke.
They would slowly cut the fences on the rec yard, and they could, it's chain link fence, but with string and salt and blades from pencil sharpeners.
Wow,
and things you could slowly cut through the fence. And
the fence that segregates general population from ADSEG, or
no, the fence that separates individual rec yards for ADSEG. So they would take a rec yard and they would build chain link fence all the way up to a roof.
I see.
And on East Ham, the fences didn't go up to the roof. They went up about 10 feet and had razor wire, and dudes would climb through it. To get at each other.
Just so they could go
stab
somebody
several times, guys would climb through the razor wire. They'd take the cuts.
So that's incredible and psychotic. So somebody did end up getting killed in this conflict?
Yeah. And the biggest hit that we did was one of our guys dashed the Aryan Circle captain in the face with paint stripper and blinded him. Yeah, out on the rec yard.
Jesus. What is that? What does
Paint
that mean?
stripper, so it's a liquid that you could pour it. If you were to put it on a painted surface, it'll bubble it up and eat it away.
Right.
And so we got some. We had connections in the maintenance shop.
Yeah.
And any white janitor has to do what we tell them, or you're going to have some Peckerwoods at your cell if you don't do what we say.
Yeah.
So they would bring us. They had no choice.
Yeah.
And we would get poison and weapons and stuff from the maintenance shop. But yeah, he dashed that guy in the face, and they left. The guard ran off.
Yeah.
You know, his handcuffed behind his back. So he was walking out. They were bringing him out to the rec yard, and my bro was already in there.
Yeah.
And he had a peanut butter jar full of paint stripper with Kool-Aid in it to make it so it looked like Kool-Aid.
Right.
Hit him right in the face, and the guard ran off and left him. And that guy was out there with his hands behind his back, couldn't wipe his face. And they left him for a while, and it ate his eyeballs out.
Oh my!
Yeah, it blinded him, and he was a confirmed gang member.
Right.
So he still has to be in SEG.
Right.
And they sent him to Estelle High Security. And if he was a captain, he probably had a life sentence.
Wow.
Which he was, something up there.
Yeah.
So he's probably still sitting in a cell by himself, blinded right now. I think about that one still.
That's
to this day.
brutal.
But like my bro youngster, he got kidney or liver failure from getting getting speared.
Wow.
We would do what we could, you had to.
So people are getting just life flighted out, getting wheeled out.
Yeah.
Did anybody else get stabbed on like general population?
Yeah. But the thing is, I was not over anything in general population.
Right.
So Wizard, the guy, I always point above me because he was literally in a cell right above me, and he could drop his line down, and I'd fish it in, and we'd pass kites. And so the war with AC went on, and we did what we could do. And then the administration, this is also all documented online. The administration called their head guy Cowboy and our head guy Dirty Joe, and they put them on a unit together. They shipped them together, and they put them in a legal meeting cage. And they told them, y'all work this out, because if not, we're going to put everybody on you guys under conspiracy laws. You're going to be done for life. And Dirty Joe was within a few years of getting out on a life sentence. He had an old life sentence where he only had to do 30 years. So he was like within 5 years or something, he wanted to get out. So they sent out the orders like, stop, it's over. For whatever that accomplished. And, I got bros going to court for assault, assault with a deadly weapon. Yeah. They're getting more time and stuff like that. People lost kidney functions and things. So that was kind of like, I don't know. We just weren't real happy about that, about ending it, which is weird because I never had a problem with those guys. Remember, I had friends. That's what I was saying. I hung out with those guys in Circle on another unit, and you just follow orders. Well, once the war stopped, Wizard didn't want to stop hurting people, basically. And so he just started looking for more targets. And there was these guys. So this is the big story that nobody knows, really. There was 3 guys. 2 were ex-members, and 1, best I can tell, had kept a clock radio when our general got segged. So you could say he stole his clock radio, his $9 crappy radio. Well, they put all 3 of them on a block with us in AdSeg on the same row as Wizard on 2 row. Well, that's a mistake because all he's going to do is figure out how to get those guys. And that's what he did. And so we came up with a scheme to have one of our members pretend like he was quitting. And that way he could get close to those guys. He could be like, I'm an ex now. And it took months to convince. This is a plot that went on for months and months to slowly convince those guys to trust our dude. We're planning him like a mole. Well, while this is happening, they moved this old dude into a cell next to me. And he claimed he used to be a member back in the day and there was a falling out. He had all these, he was a big talker. He was an ex-heroin, well, he's a heroin addict. So he had all this game. He could talk good, you know, and he's like impressing Wizard. I couldn't stand him because he was in these weird conspiracies. I mean, you've been there, you know, guys get into some kind of wild political views. And
yeah, I don't like prison.
Yeah.
But anyways.
So I know exactly what you mean.
I like drug dealers and bosses, you know?
Right. Prison.
Yeah.
Just, I used to call it the stupid place.
Yeah.
So Wizard starts trusting this guy. And I have no say. He's several ranks above me.
Mm-hmm.
He confides in him our plan. This is an outsider.
Right.
This is outrageous to me, you know? And Wizard's a buddy of mine. Mm-hmm. We're personal friends too. Yeah. And I'm like, what are you doing? You can't tell this guy. Are you out of your mind? But he was kind of jealous. Like I had gotten to do time with Dirty Joe and met the old timers. But Wizard had only been on Ferguson with young knuckleheads and never really got never really got exposed to the older convicts. And so he was wanting to get like old game and stuff from this guy, but he was lying. I just knew it in my gut. I was like, this guy is running game. I don't know why he's in SEG, but he was never one of us. So it came time to do the hit. It came time that we're going to get these three guys.
How are you going to get them?
Poison. So we got poison from through the maintenance shop.
Okay. What kind of poison?
I don't want to say.
Why?
Because I feel like if I do, they might consider it like giving up something that they've got going. Like they might still use that method.
So poisoning an op is an official way to kill somebody.
Absolutely. Anyway. Wow. Any way you can get it done. There's no any way that you can get it done. And so I've thought about saying it, but I'm afraid that if they're going to be like, oh, that's like dry snitching by saying because they might still use the method.
So they get poison.
We get poison
from where?
From the maintenance shop, and we have the janitor bring it to us. And we're going to make tacos. We're going to have the dude that has moved in with those guys as a mole.
Right.
We're going to have him say, oh, I got money it's my birthday. We're going to bust down a big spread. I'm going to share it with y'all. Right. He's been buddying up with them. And we were so cold about it. Nobody in our organization knew he didn't really quit. We told our own people he quit.
Wow. Yeah.
And it sucked because he had a personal childhood friend back there with us. Yeah. And they were both members of us. So he's having to tell everybody, like, I quit. And his childhood friend is like losing his mind. Right. You know, like, what do you mean you quit? But we're telling him, shut up, you know, just wait. Months and months go by. He moves in, gets close to him.
Can I ask you this? You guys are in segregation. So I thought you were isolated in your own cells.
Yes.
So he's next door to the guy you're trying to kill, this mole?
Yes. They're all on 2-row. They're all, I don't know if it's exactly next door. Maybe there's a couple cells difference, but you run the line, you know?
Okay. How do you do that? How do you so that's through the toilet?
No, out on the run. So
how do you get like tacos from my cell to your cell, but say you're like 3 cells down?
Man, we could talk about how things get done in SEG all day, but
sure. But just give us that example. This is pertinent.
You take boxers, the elastic band out of boxers, and you unravel them, and it comes apart in string. You get rid of the elastic stuff, but the string is strong. Yeah. You twist it, and make a twine, you know, make an actual rope. And you get a deodorant, roll-on deodorant, and put some wet toilet paper in it so it'll have some weight to it. Yeah. And you tie your line to the end.
Right.
Now, these cells are tiny, 5 by 9. I'm 6'2", so I touch both walls like this. Yeah. Yeah. You touch both walls like that, and it's 3 steps from my toilet to the bars. Yeah. Because the bunk and the toilet take up a lot. So you have just enough room to do push-ups. That's all you have in your whole cell. And the bottom of the door, they try to keep us from doing stuff. They put mesh on the doors. They welded plates on the bottom of the doors. These are those doors that they roll, the old timey, they roll them from the control panel booth and they slide open. But because of that, they have to leave gaps at the end, and it's only a gap about that big, but you can get that deodorant and shoot it down the run.
Right.
And if it hits somebody's set, if it's peters out halfway, they'll reach out with their pole, which is a magazine stick with a dental flosser or something on the end, hook it, bring it in, and they'll shoot it down there and pass it all the way down.
Yeah.
And the tacos, you know, like I said, you got a gap about that big.
Right.
So wrap those tacos up real good, tie them on the string.
Got it.
And they're going to pull them down.
Got it. Okay. Got it. So you've got the poison smuggled in from the maintenance. And that's, how does that get smuggled in?
So you have SSI, staff support inmates, which are just janitors.
Right.
They push the broom. And so
got it.
If you have a white janitor,
like an orderly, we would call it in Oregon, for example. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And so they have, like I said, if they're white, they have no choice but to cooperate, or otherwise we're just going to come for you.
Copy that.
The dude brought it to us.
Now you can't tell us what kind of poison, but is it a powder?
No, it's a liquid.
Okay.
And we put it in some tacos, and we sent them to the dude who was the mole who's supposed to do the hit. And there's lots of fishing going on. You got to fish them up. Yeah. You're pulling tacos up to 2-row, you know, through the fence and stuff. And he waited a while. I'm waiting. He's got the stuff, you know, heart pounding. And next thing I hear, hey, gun, because he used to call me Shotgun.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, gun, put out your pole. That means I'm going to send you a line. And I'm like, and it's the mole guy. I'm like, what? I don't need to hear from you. You know what I mean? Until it's like, you're supposed to be an egg. Like, I haven't spoken to this guy because we have to, people can hear over the run, and we're saying he's an ex.
Right.
So we're only talking to him secretly.
Yeah.
And he's calling my name over the run. So I'm like, oh, here we go. And so he shot me a kite back, and he was like, look, I'm not doing it.
Wow.
I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
Y'all are setting me up. I only have, like a 10-year sentence, 15-year sentence or something. He's like, I'm not going to kill 3 people.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody,
we're all going to eat them.
Yeah.
Holy.
Feed them. He was going to, like, here's your tacos.
And do you think that poison would have killed him?
Well, 2 of the guys had hepatitis C and had liver failure, more or less. So they were not hanging on that strong to begin with.
Right.
So that I don't know. I don't know for sure. It would have been enough to cause big problems for them internally. Yeah. If not, I think it probably would have. Yeah. It's treacherous, man.
Had you known
it's
it
treacherous.
It's unreal. It's like killing a king or a dictator. They used to do that. That's like the oldest way to kill somebody, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing, when you get real deep into the gang life, especially in prison, dudes have time.
Yeah.
And they will hatch plots that you will never see. If you get killed in prison, most likely it's your own people doing it to you.
Yes.
And you know that.
Yeah.
That's the thing about the gang life.
Yeah.
Like, you think you're making your life safer, and that's exactly opposite. Like, you are far more likely to die by your own people at that point, because the gang is like a beast that needs to feed.
Yeah.
And if there's nobody to feed on, it will find people to feed on. And you get guys like Wizard who are passionate about murder.
Yeah.
You know, he'd been killing people since he was a teenager. So that to him was like the ultimate measure of a man, but also a thrill. You're not having sex. You're in prison. You know what I mean? So what do you have to get thrilled off? And guys will just get into the violent side of it as a hobby, really, to be honest. So he refused to do the hit.
And that's warrants a death sentence for him.
Yeah, we would all. Yeah. Well, and the guy this outsider who has finagled his way into our mix would have definitely ratted.
Yeah, of course.
So I'm not going to lie. When he said, I'm not going to do it, I went, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
You know, because it's triple gang related homicide. We're all going to get ratted out.
Right,
everybody's hearing this tacos getting, like, we're not getting away with this.
Right.
And so in the time that I was in SEG, I'd already been in SEG a couple years at that point. I had been reading, I had been drawing, I had been writing, I had been thinking about my life, and I had been growing up, maturing.
Right.
And I spent a lot of time reading philosophy and mathematics and economics and critical thinking and college level stuff we can talk about forever, but it really just changed. It helped me to make better decisions.
Yeah.
And while my whole life had been kind of daredevil stuff, just testing my boundaries and trying to be tough and trying to be hard, I changed from reading. I was like, this is stupid. We're killing people over clock radios. I know who Warren Buffett is now.
Right.
You know, I know about stock market stuff.
Yeah.
Like, what am I doing? This is ridiculous.
Right.
And I know how much I'm like typing and sending letters and doing all this. Like, this is work.
Yeah.
Like, there's stockbrokers making a ton of money doing this kind of stuff. And you know, management and all. And so that night I quit.
Wow.
And I told him, drop your line. I sent him a note. I said, I'm out. I don't want to do this anymore. And believe it or not, he sent me a note back. Said, me too.
Wow.
And he quit the same night I did.
Was the mole?
Yeah.
That was supposed to.
No. Sorry. Well, now I've said his name.
Oh, Wizard. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I should have put that together.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So
No, I
he
leaked
dropped
it.
out too.
He quit too the same night. And I think because of that, so our bro that dashed the guy in the face and blinded him, he was going to court for that. And he went to the Walls unit in Huntsville where you go when you're going to trial.
Yeah.
And he ran into our general. And they happened to be on the same block, like in transit.
Yeah.
And they talked, and he came back and he sent word that we were all right. Like, as long as we didn't disrespect or cause any problems. And we used to kind of have that policy. Like, if somebody retired, like if you were in SEG and you slid back and you were like, I'm just going to finish my time and go home. As long as you didn't disrespect us and you didn't go join another gang or anything like that, if you just truly went civilian and shut up and did your time, we wouldn't come searching for you.
Oh, wow. So you guys are a little nicer than the California AB.
Yeah, they have no mercy.
Yeah.
Right. And I can only, doesn't mean everybody feels that way. And if somebody were to do something to me, nobody would be mad at them about it.
Right.
You know, but there was nobody actively out for us.
I see.
And so we both quit. And the funny thing is, a month or two later, I'm out on the yard, still in SEG, because in that time, there was no way to get out of SEG. Once you were confirmed, that's it. And out on the yard one day, the head of the Texas Mafia, which is another white gang, came by and he was like, I know y'all didn't quit. You and old boy are up to something. Because we had just pulled the move with the fake, he quit, he really didn't quit.
Right.
You know, everybody heard that and they're like, man, these guys are devious. Like, you really got to watch these guys.
Yeah.
And so they were convinced that we were just pretending to quit and that we had a bigger, like, we're going to kill everybody. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I was like, no, it's for real. I wouldn't play that game. He goes, you know how I know you quit? I was like, how? He said, because the day you quit was 12/20/2000. Year December 20th, 2000. Now remember, I had on my chest ABT in Roman numerals, 1, 2, 20.
Right.
So he was like 12, 1, 2, 20. It's a symbol, right? It's a sign. And I went, first, that's crazy.
That's crazy.
That's a crazy coincidence.
Yeah.
But I promise you, that's all it is a coincidence.